The next stop is On the Radar Radio.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, baby, On the Radar Radio. Yo, special guest in the building. His new album, Mood Swings, is out now. Vedo is in the building, my guy.
Gabe, what's up, baby? How you
Welcome to
feeling?
the show.
I'm blessed, man. Thank you for having me, dog.
How you been? How you feeling with the new album?
I'm great, man. I feel good. This is probably one of my most versatile albums. You know, collab with some really dope creators on here as well, producers, legends in the game. So I feel good, man. You know what I mean?
Who's some of the producers you have on it?
We got Troy Taylor on there. We got my homie Hero.
Fire.
He's on there. My homie Spiff, he's on there. Just a bunch of people. I think, you know, these are people who I look at like, yo, these cats been working and doing their thing for a long time, man. And it's, you know, been rocking with me for a minute. And just to see, to embark upon this journey with them,
right?
It's pretty dope, especially Troy Taylor. Like Troy Taylor, you know, he really taught me about backgrounds and harmonies and less is more and, you know, everything. So I definitely hats off to him, man. Much love.
And when it comes to you, when creating this album, you know, because obviously we've known that you've written for a couple people already, but is it tough trying to put together a body of work when you're also doing X, Y, and Z sometimes for other artists?
Yeah.
Like, do these things? How often do these things kind of like clash into each other?
Well, I mean, my team and I, we've done a great job at separating the two. So we have a period of time where it's just we strictly just writing for other artists.
Okay.
And then when it's album mode, you know, something like that, we absolutely shut that water off. Bam, and we just focus on creating the album. So there's no back and forth. There's no gray area when it comes to what records we're gonna keep, because whatever gets recorded during this period of time is what we're gonna end up using on the album.
Now, are there any specific artists that you would turn the water back on for during the album
I
period?
mean, yeah, for sure, man. You know, Drake come through and say he need a hook or something. Hey, man, you know what I mean? Rihanna called me, yeah, turn the water back on. We got to, you know what I mean? So, yeah, absolutely. But I think, you know, what that does is allows me to focus on the creation and telling my story when I don't have to worry about, you know, this artist over here, the leads from this label and the leads from this label over here. I kind of just shut that world out and just focus on being an artist.
Right. When I had Teron Thomas here not too long ago, he was me and him were speaking about how obviously he wrote for like Lotto, right? You know, you wrote for like LMA. How do you personally get in your bag to kind of write from that perspective, right? Because obviously, you know, writing for, you know, like let's say hypothetically you wrote for like, you know, or like writing for someone like Drake, right? Okay. Obviously, you know, that's a man's perspective, but how do you kind of get in the mode to kind of work with LMA and then start writing from that perspective as well?
Well, I think it's different for different writers, man. For me, my whole goal is always just to do a dope song, create a great record.
Right.
I feel like when it comes to writing for a female, it's gonna be a little harder because you're a male trying to write for a female. But I think your goal should be to write a unisex song, write a song that can be sang by a man or a woman. And once the artist goes in and, you know, does their thing to it, then you can start tailoring it and changing things up. But once the song is done and completed and it's already a hit before they even get on it, I feel like it's easier. But so my actual process would be just going in and make a great song, and if it's for a female, make a great song that a male or a woman can sing.
Do you often find yourself like in the studio with them making this, or is it kind of done like separately a lot of the time?
Well, sometimes it's kind of half and half.
Okay.
I mean, some artists like to be in the mix. Some artists are really busy. Like, yo, just send me an idea, send me something. So it's different. But I actually prefer doing it at home by myself in my comfort zone. I really, because you know, you get in the studio with certain artists, man. They try to, you know, and it's not nothing bad. It's like they try to stifle your creativity and stuff like that. And when you got the creative juices flowing, you hate being stopped. You hate being like, nah, let's try something like this. It's like, let me get my thought out first, and then we can pick through it. You know what I mean? So that's why I like recording at home.
I think of it like an assembly line, right? It's like, you know, there's like different stations, and everybody has like to put like, I don't know, like if it's like an action figure, somebody puts a head on, somebody puts a feet on. Yeah. But then if like two people are working at the same point at the same time, it's clashing. You fuck up whatever you're making.
Yeah, you kind of clash. And you know what? I think that, you know, my team and I, when we create like these camps, we do a great job of putting these camps together to where we work with artists and writers and producers who don't step on each other.
Right.
So I think, and it's not necessarily saying that one is better than the other, but we also have to understand that it's a collaborative effort. You ain't gonna get more publishing than me if we working together at the same time. So why we fighting each other?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If it's 50%, it's two of us, we're gonna get 25 and 25. There's no reason for you to fight every idea. There's no reason for me to fight every idea. And I think that creates a great work environment when each creator can listen and take, and just say, hey, look, okay, cool, and keep rocking like that.
1,000%. Now, with the work environment for the project, right? Was this mostly recorded at home? Did you kind of mostly try to do this at like?
That's why this one is special, because this one was actually recorded in the actual studio setting.
Okay.
So it was kind of like me getting out of my comfort zone, because I taught myself how to record, write, mix and master myself. So I kind of got spoiled. So, but when you got a team around you that's like, hey man, why don't we try to change it up a little bit this album? I'm like, what you mean? Well, hold on now. What you mean change it up? Yeah. Let's get some writers to come in and shed their vision and help you challenge you a little bit. Challenge you get some different producers to come in. And I'm like, at first I was a little like, I don't know, man. People, and reason being is because people can be really, really hard to work with. And I just hate working in those environments. But nonetheless, this was one of those projects where I actually had to go in the studio and different writers came in, had their ideas already jotted down. I would go in and say, hey, I want to sing about this. Writers would go in there and just start doing melodies. And I mean, it really just meshed, man. And honestly, I feel like that's probably something I'll do in the near future as well, and keep that going. Because what it does is also gives other writers and creators a chance to shine too. This is my 6th album, and literally 5 of those albums was predominantly written all by me. Great albums, but I feel like at some point it's like no one man has won, a championship. So it's like when you assemble a team, and that's what we're doing now. You assemble a team, you put yourself in the running to win that championship.
Right. So this, you actually had like other people doing the engineering, the producing. Yeah. Obviously, well, I was production, we already spoke about that. But
I showed up solely as an artist and a writer. That's it. I didn't show up as an engineer. I didn't show up as none of that. I showed up as a artist and a writer wanting to learn from other writers.
Right. That's how it was with Rob. Rob behind the cameras, right? When he first hit me up and we first started, like, the green room was his idea.
Right.
But, like, I think the first message was like, hey man, I'm gonna start engineering your show starting next week. I have some ideas on how we can make it better. I was like, what do you mean make it better?
Right.
What do you mean by that?
Right, because when you used to doing something on your own, man, it's kind of hard for you to like transition into like giving that power to somebody else and trusting them, with that vision. So yeah, definitely a team is important, man.
Yeah, and especially like going into making this project where you're also stepping out of your comfort zone, you kind of need like that foundation of people there with you to kind of help guide you through like getting out of your comfort zone and not being able to just record at the crib and shit like that too.
Exactly. And it also, it's a different level of confidence too, because it may be something that you deem, you're like, man, I don't know if I like that part in the song, but everybody in the room like, bro, that's it. Because as creators, we can be hard on ourselves. We go in and do 10 different verses when the first verse was the best one. Now you 10 verses in, now you got writer's block. But when you got a team of people in there that can like take that heat off your shoulders, you can be like, hey, yo, don't worry about it. Let me go in here and try a verse.
Right.
Well, you sit back and relax. Let me go try to do a verse for you real quick. And I think that's what the records come out like. They come out really great like that, man, especially when the team understands the vision and the goal.
Right. But also, artists are their toughest critic.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, your best records be the ones that you don't even want to put out, and that be the ones that go, if I had $1 for every time somebody sat on this couch with a hit record, a platinum record, whatever, and they're like, man, I hated that song.
I was just going to say
I'd be
that.
rich as hell, man.
Literally, my song, You Got It, was not my favorite song.
Yeah, there you go.
And we double platinum on that, approaching 3 times platinum. So it's like, it just lets you know, man, you don't know what's gonna be a hit. There's no formula to a hit. You just gotta feel it and put the music out there and see whatever the fans create, whatever the demand the fans create, that's what it'll be.
Well, you got it. Like, who made you put out that record then, or not who made you, but like who influenced you to kind of move it?
The team did. Yeah, because we had a few options, records that I like more than You Got It. But at the time, that season that we were in at the time, it was the Me Too movement and. Women were going through some things that hadn't been shedding light on things that women was going through, and it just fit at the right time, man. It was an uplifting record. It was a record about, telling this woman, to get your own, be independent, stop depending on somebody else to pick up where you slack type situation, and I feel like it was just the right time.
Word.
Yeah.
We can't also, go without mentioning the legendary Tiny Desk that you were a part of too.
Yeah.
That was super fun. I didn't even realize you was in it until I was getting ready for this interview, and I was like, wait a second, this whole time I've seen this shit like 3 times. And he's right there. I think that's one that's so fire.
Thank
right?
you, man.
Congratulations
Appreciate
on
it.
being a part of that.
Thank you, brother.
How do you,
Appreciate it.
how do you even get involved in like something like that too? Because I always wondered watching all
Yeah.
those over the course of the years too, how people get involved with that.
Well, I mean, obviously, NPR, they have to reach out or whatnot and set it up and things like that. But for me and Eric as a as artists as well, to be involved in that particular one is literally like we had to be ready. It was on the fly. Got a call from Usher at the beginning of the week. Said, "Hey man, I want you to come perform with me at something in the Water Festival with Pharrell."
Okay.
So we like, all right, we with it. Yeah, I mean,
Easy,
you know,
yeah.
that's easy. 120,000 people. He was able to, let us have his light for a moment. And out of the blue, like the day before the Tiny Desk thing was being filmed, he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I want y'all to do a Tiny Desk with me."
Okay.
And we like Tiny Desk, like we gotta practice, we gotta rehearse that. So literally, there was no rehearsals. It was like, yo,
Wow.
I'm gonna get up here and sing, and I need y'all to find y'all note. Simple as that. So as you can imagine, the nerves we had going through, because I'm looking at Eric, he looking at me like, you gonna take the high note, I'm gonna take the bottom note. It's like, it was crazy, but we were prepared in a sense to where you can tell that we've been doing this music thing for a long time because it came second nature.
Right.
All the songs that he was singing was already we were already super familiar with it. We just had to get on the same level of each other, and me not step on him and he not step on me. But just being in the right place at the right time is what I would say Tiny Desk happened.
That's crazy. You would think that like a Tiny Desk, like you would be preparing for that for like at least like a week.
Nope.
Because like that's how I look at it. Like whenever or when I watch like the Mac Miller one, right? Rest in peace, Mac. Like I look at that one and I'm like,
Yeah.
they must have been prepping for this for like at least a little bit of time beforehand. You feel me?
I believe Usher was, but
Just
he
just
was, yeah,
Usher.
Usher and his band was, but he kind of threw us in the fire, like, hey, here, come on, and we just had to rise to the occasion.
Testing your gangster just like
yeah,
a little bit.
exactly. So I thought that was pretty dope too. But Usher does stuff like that. Like he just like call you out the blue.
Right.
Hey man, you want to come perform? Where is it? Oh yeah, it's in Vegas. I'm all the way in Maine somewhere. You know what I mean? So he does that a lot.
You be in Maine or he would be in Maine?
I would be in Maine, have to go to Vegas the same day because he
Okay.
might call you and say, hey, you want to come perform a day before we got to perform. So it's just a spur of the moment thing, man. If you're not ready, you're just not ready.
What you be doing up in Maine?
Not nothing. Chilling. Chilling.
It's not a very like Kanye Wyoming-esque.
Yeah, just
Like your
chilling,
little
man.
retreat.
Yeah, just reset.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're the first person who's ever said I go to Maine to do a retreat. So
I mean,
now I want to go to Maine.
It's beautiful.
Now I'm giving you credit for it because I kind
Yeah.
of like out of all the places that like I feel like people be like, oh, I go to Wyoming, I go
Yeah.
to I don't know somewhere like close to the Canadian
You
border that's
think-
not Maine, like you know.
I try to go places where it's absolutely nothing like where I live, because that's just you get sucked right back into the distraction, especially when you're trying to prepare for something. Yeah.
Were you working on the album like in that type of environment too?
Nah, I mean,
Well,
when
the studio,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah.
When it comes to the album, I kind of like to keep the vibes the same. I'm not the person that sit in the studio with his fingers crossed and doing all that. I keep the vibes the same,
Right.
Because I feel like when you switch the vibes up, the music changes as well.
Right.
And I kind of like to keep that same cohesiveness with my music, and that's me doing real R&B, singing about the certain things that I like to sing about. So I kind of keep those vibes the same.
And so we got Chris on the album with you. Obviously, that single's been out. We
you.
got Tink, and was it just Chris and Tink? Cause I had
Yeah,
the
Chris
whole
and
track.
Tink. Yeah.
Because we're recording this album is out, by the time that y'all seeing this, the album's
Yeah.
out. So why just Chris and Tink for the project?
Well, first of all, the Chris Brown feature, that's been waited on so long by the fans. And he's very strategic on what songs he wants to get on as well. So I just felt like it was time. And it was just by chance, man. Like I'm one of the guys, I'm not afraid to ask, if I need you for something, I'm gonna ask. You just gotta tell me no. I'm not gonna feel away. I'm not gonna be like, oh, he ain't rocking with me. Oh, he fake. No, it's not that, because I'm gonna ask.
Right.
And with this record, I just asked. I was like, man, I got a record, bro. I want you to get on for the album. Send it to him. He said, I love it, man. Just beef the beat up. I was like, all right, bet. Sent the verse back. Out of the blue. I mean, there's nothing much more I can say about that. And then Tink has always been long-awaited, so I've been a huge fan of her as well. And just like that, in one phone call, hey, yo, Tink, I need you to do a verse. And she did it. I mean, I guess that just goes hand in hand into me. They see the grind I've been putting in, and you know, the foundation I've laid, and it's like a no-brainer for him at this point.
Tink is super underrated too.
Yeah, I love her. She's dope.
Tink is fire.
Yeah.
So what mood swings are you kind of going through, or you taking people through on this project,
man.
like the motions?
Every mood swing, happiness, sadness, insecurity, you know, love, everything. I got some records on there that's kind of like flipping the narrative of, you know, women always talking about, you know, they, you know, for they box, they need a Birkin. You know what I'm saying? If they gonna give you something, they need this. I got a record on there that said, if I'm gonna give you something, I'm gonna need this. You know what I'm saying? So it's flipping the narrative. I got records on there that's celebrating the woman. I got records on there that's, you know, highlighting certain things that go on in relationships. When you going through something with your significant other, you run to your friends and tell them your business and wonder why everybody know everything. I got records on there that highlights just when you break it down, like pure feeling. And I got a record called Soul. And it's basically just a record that it basically highlights my insecurities and highlights my the fact that I'm imperfect. Like I'm not perfect at all, but I'm worth it. I'm worth loving. I'm worth working on. And I think that's a song that people, a lot of people will be able to resonate with, because we're all a work in progress.
Right, and that's what I feel like when I was telling you Division was here like about a month ago for their album, and what they kind of spoke about when we were talking about in like the R&B sense of things was men being able to make records like that. Yeah. Because I believe the way that they put it was like, you know, men, when they, at least in the previous traditional sense of R&B, it was always kind of like the singing in the rain, going for the girl, But, you know, now they were kind of explaining how like there's more of a lane now to be able to do those type of records where we open up more about the insecurities and kind of like the other things that we have that we weren't able to really kind of, or wasn't as much accepted to talk about 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, facts, man. I think that back in the day, R&B was more so like you said, like the on bending knee and begging. I ain't too proud to beg.
Singing in the rain.
Singing in the rain, cool, right? But now, because back then, really singing about insecurities, it just probably just wasn't cool, you know. And I think now, the state of R&B now, it's cool to talk about your insecurities. It's cool to talk about things you go through in life. Because at the end of the day, men go through the same thing women go through. You know, it's just you just have to say it a certain way though. You got to be able to say, "Hey, I'm insecure in a cool way." You know, because you can't.
I'm insecure in a cool way.
Yeah, you know, it's like, hey, you know, I got, like I said, just to piggyback on it, I got a record on there that's like, hey, who is this? Why you always hanging with this guy? Why you always talking? Who is this guy? Who is him? Every man has asked his girl that question about another dude. We don't want to admit it, but we have.
Right, facts.
You know, we don't want to say, I ain't worried about, man, I ain't worried about, because it's her loss. No, brother, you want to know who that dude is. You know what I'm saying? And it's just singing about your insecurities and your past transgressions. I think not only does it help you, but it helps the person that's listening. Because I guarantee what I'm singing about, somebody goes through the same thing.
Right, and like you said, we've all been through that scenario where like, yo, who that? Like,
you just too cool to say it, you know?
Right.
You just too cool but not me. I'm an R&B singer. I'm gonna let it out.
Or you just don't want to say it because you know you gonna hear something about it back too, and you're like, here we go.
You just don't, exactly. You don't ask the questions because you don't want to hear the answers.
Right.
Yeah, and that's some records on the album like that too. You ask the question, and you get the answer. It might not be the one you want.
Right. Or you might be like, oh yeah, you want a Birkin bag, but I want X, Y, and Z.
I want you to put this car in your name. I want you to put me on your line of credit.
What's up? You gonna sign on the closing papers on this crib with me?
Come on, what you trying to do,
what's
baby?
Up?
Yeah, listen,
I'm putting my neck out on the line. You gotta put your neck out on the line too.
I'm giving you something. You gotta give me something.
Facts.
Nah, facts.
Facts.
Definitely.
Well, that's dope, man. Well, the album's out now by the time y'all seeing this. You know what I'm saying? I know you got somewhere else that you got to be in a little bit, so I want to make sure I get you there on time. Before we get out of here, though, what else you got coming up this year? We got obviously the album's out now, so go check that out.
Yeah,
Tour.
yeah.
What else we got going on?
Yeah, we definitely. We just actually me and the team just sat down. We're getting ready to put together a tour.
Okay, dope.
Just start off with something small, just to see what's going on. That's happening. Got some crazy more features coming. Got another album already done.
Word. This year.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
man,
So
okay.
we working. Looking to get into some acting too. Yeah, so that's gonna be something that we start exploring now as well.
What you gonna be acting in? Or has it happened yet? Or it's
No,
coming?
that's what we working on it. You know,
Okay.
I got a little something. I got a little something in my bag. I put my Denzel in there, but yeah, that's something we're working on there. Working on my tequila line as well. So I like tequila. So
Ooh,
the
me
team,
too, bro.
Yeah, so the team, we sitting down, putting some ideas together with that as well. I'm trying to stay busy, man. I think that, you know, life moves so fast, people tend to forget about you. And I think music is just one facet of who Vedo is.
Right.
And I think now, you know, in 2023, it's time to kind of like, you know, start doing more. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exciting, man. Oh, before you get out of here, right? Because I always like asking this to songwriters, right? What was your favorite song that you've written so far?
That I've written.
Yeah.
Oh man. As an R&B song, I probably have to say "Warm Embrace."
Okay, Warm Embrace.
Yeah, I would have to say that because it's just like just a beauty. I mean, it's just such an R&B record, man. And that record was written over 3 years ago.
Really?
I wrote that record over 3 years ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's Grammy nominated too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is Grammy nominated.
Yeah, so that's probably my favorite joint.
That's fine.
And that's one of those records where you have to say this to yourself as a writer and as an artist. Would this song be big on me or would it be bigger on somebody else? And I had to make the decision to give the song away.
So you almost kept it for yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100 times. I almost kept it 100 times.
How do you feel now that? How do you feel? Well, now looking as seeing what it's done, and
Yeah.
how do you feel?
Feel great.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel great. I think it's like I said, it's Grammy nominated.
Yep.
It's an amazing record on an amazing artist, and I wrote that one. I could write another one. That's how I feel about it.
I like that. Do you ever have like issues with like reference tracks ever leaking? Does that ever happen to you?
Nah.
No?
I mean, everything is in house. If anything get leaked, it's probably gonna be myself or my manager, and I know we ain't doing that.
Look, he said no.
Nah.
Because I always think about like the Party Next Door Work reference track for Rihanna.
Yeah,
I always
yeah.
think about that joint. I'm always like, I wonder if this happens to other people. That's why I
That happens when there's too many people involved in it.
Right.
You know how that go, man. You doing a session, you know, you're the sole writer, and at the end of the session, you got 8 different writers on that mug now. You know what I mean? So that's another reason why I like to do stuff at home too, because I can control the narrative.
Right. So like one of those 8 people is bound to hit their friend, be like, yo, look what we
Yeah.
just did. And then next thing you know, that friend hits a friend, that friend hits
And
a friend.
now it's circulating.
And now it's on YouTube.
And then if it gets out, now you just lost out on probably the biggest placement of your career because it's out already.
Yeah.
And artists don't want to touch something that's already been heard by the public and leaked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Advice from Vedo.
Yeah.
Don't play around. Well, look, man, again, it's been a pleasure having you here.
Much love,
Performance
brother.
out now, so go check that out.
Yeah.
Mood Swings, the album out now. Go check that out. Before we get out of here, let the people know they can follow you. Anything else you want to let the fans know, now's the time to do it. This camera right here.
Absolutely. Yo, what's poppin', man? It's Vedo. Listen, follow me on everything at Vedo the Singer. That's VedoTheSinger. My album Mood Swings is out right now. Go get that. I appreciate y'all.
There you go. Make sure you go check out the album. Go follow him. New projects on the way. Tequila on the way. Acting on the way. Go follow him. Go show him some love. Go show him some support. Love is free. Support is free. But y'all already knew that. Until next time, Vedo on the radar. We out. Boom. My God. Love.
Love, baby.